I lost my job 6 times for a variety of reasons. We're in the most volatile workplace economic environment. There's more people transitioning and moving because they're being told to than ever. Hey, this is Coach Mofall. I am an ex-CEO, ex-COO, and about to lay out the soul-powered revolution. And you'll win in life by having your soul on fire. Hey everyone, in this episode of Soul Powered Revolution, I'm going to talk to you about something that has hit me 6 times in my career, not because I'm a flunky or failure, but because I was living in the world. I lost my job 6 times for a variety of reasons. I'm going to go through what all that is, but I know right now we're in the most volatile workplace economic environment ever. There's more people transitioning and moving because they're being told to than ever. And there's a lot of reasons for this, but I want you to sit tight because I'm going to talk to you about something that is one of the biggest problems that this causes for us human beings and how to solve it. Yes, I'm going to help you understand how to solve the biggest problem with losing your job. And you know what? I'm partly going to cover the issue of walking out on your job or quitting. I've just recently spoke to a few women who that's what they did. They walked out. One of them walked out because her company was being taken over, bought out by private equity. I've been there. I've done that. I actually was one of the takeover companies in one of my executive roles. She didn't like it. She felt the squeeze, so she walked out. They were under threat of getting rid of her entire department. And rather than waiting for them to do it, she walked out on her own. Ugh, don't do that. Don't do that. Turns out her department didn't get let go. Ugh. And one of the things that happens oftentimes is when you're in the pressure cooker, your stress is like, and you're ready to walk out and quit because it's just a boiling environment. I understand the pressure of that. I've been in it many times. I have lost my job 6 times. I recounted just to make sure that my memory was correct. One of them, the company was transitioning, and the lead doctor said to me, I'm buying out this cardiac center. I'll call you back when I've bought it out because I want you to be the head nurse. You know what I did? I waited. I had 37 cents to my name. And I finally called him up and I said, I have 37 cents to my name. If you want me to hang out and wait, you better hire me back now because I can't wait any longer. You know, he's like a multi-gazillionaire cardiologist, doesn't have to think about where his next can of soup is coming from. I was a brand new young 24-year-old nurse. I learned a powerful lesson there. One of the other roles that I lost was when a company that I was working for had to downsize. It's a small company, not huge. They had to downsize because regulatory environment changed and they couldn't own these centers anymore. I was a rock star at that company. Ooh, I was a rock star. They couldn't afford to keep me. Goodbye. Well, I went into consulting from that perspective, and that was cool for a while. And then I did something with an accounting firm. We created a healthcare consulting division together. That was awesome. But that felt like I was wearing too tight of clothes all the time. So I got a nice, cool, big national job, moved to North Carolina. And in a year and a half, that job went away. My dad warned me because the stock slipped the day I was moving from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to North Carolina. But here's the thing. I wasn't responsible for the stock price. I was going to be a VP of building and growing their networks and their health clinics. But a year and a half in, they could no longer sustain my position. Goodbye. Okay. Whew. So the guy who hired me, big senior executive VP guy, called me up and said, hey, I got a headhunter I'm going to connect you with because sorry. And I connect with that headhunter. I had another job in South Florida, moved from North Carolina to South Florida. I'm like, yay, I want to move to Florida anyway. Woohoo. That job lasted less than 2 years as well. The healthcare environment was very volatile back then. And I'm like, what? So I then got another job running the cardiac services at a health system, 4 different hospitals, a lot of physician practice stuff. I was in my jam, in my jam, in my jam. I stayed there too long. Volatile environment. I was politically throwing hot potatoes around. Eventually, I lost my job. They sort of downsized my position and 3 or 4 others, but it was really like getting rid of some people they didn't really want to have around. Lost my job. Then I bounced around in consulting for a little bit and found a job as a CEO of a big physician group that was coming together in Miami. And about 3.5 years into that, regulatory environment changed again. Guess what? They didn't have the money to keep things going in the strategy that I was executing on. Half the board didn't like. Lost my job again. I know. It's just the way that it goes. And then I got a great job. Oh, dream job, dream salary. Everything was going great. Got breast cancer. Didn't lose my job. They were lovely and awesome. I had a great career until I was passed over for a promotion. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. This time I made the move to get to my next role. Bigger role, more money, stock options. Great role, loved it, best role of my entire life. After I brought my soul back to work, best role of my life because I was free now to be who I am. Who I was at the time, but who I am. And guess what? That job started going south when one of the physician executives started not liking me and causing a lot of political turmoil. And I'm like, hello, HR? We probably need to figure out how to wind this down. So I know what it's like to be tossed on the streets. I'm going to say this. Number 1, if you're responsible for doing bad work or not getting along with people, you need to take a close look inside. You need to do the inner work to get yourself back to your best self. If you had bad work, bad relationships, and that caused you to be on the short list, well, you need to take a close look. I had to take a close look a couple of times when I lost my job, and guess what? Every time I grew. I understood myself better, and I understood what was next and what I needed to do better and more. My first coach hire was in 2000. I spent the next 14 years in top level, best ever executive roles. 10 years ago, so now it's 2024 if you're watching this live, I moved out of the corporate world and I said, I'm going to help corporate professional women learn how to up level and upscale and not have to wait 20 years to figure it out through skinning their knees and breaking their nose and all sorts of calamity that happens to us professional women. So 10 years ago, I started being a career coach to help women up level and upscale and go up the corporate ladder. Not just because ambition alone is a good thing, but all of us human beings want to give more, have more impact, have more influence, and feel like we made a difference because of who we are and what we do in the world. It's satisfying to be a leader. It's satisfying to grow a company. It's satisfying to expand market share. It's satisfying to have strategic initiatives pushed out and completed and fulfilled. It was satisfying for me to grow companies and stretch what we could do and put initiatives in place that save patients' lives. Very satisfying. So in order to do that at a higher level, I wanted to move up the corporate ladder. And that meant I got a higher title. I made more money. I had more responsibility. I had a bigger scope, which meant that I had more people to lean into and delegate and to work with. I loved that. I loved being at the highest rung possible because it allowed me to be all that I bring to the table. Now, here's the thing with job loss. There are many instances where you cannot take it personally. If your company downsizes, nothing personal, you're on the list of areas that they think they could live without for a period of time. If your company gets bought out and that buyout company has that same service and department, part of the buyout strategy is to not have duplication of services. Every time I did a buyout as an executive, that's what we analyzed and looked at when we bought a company. Oh, they've got an HR department of 5 people out. They've got a finance department of 10 people out. We got all that covered. They got this of so many people. We got that. We got it covered. So we would just get rid of departments because it was duplication. Part of the savings and the aggregate of acquiring another company is that you can do the fulfillment of the services and not have the same level of overhead. Nothing personal. It's how business is. Every business needs to have a margin. Even nonprofits need a margin. As one of my CFOs in the nonprofit health system said to me more than once, no margin, no mission. And no mission means we can't do the job, replace the CT scanners, pay our nurses, and do the things. Every organization needs to make money. I don't care if you're nonprofit, you're non-governmental, I don't care what, publicly traded, a startup, every company needs to make money. At least be tracking on that. If you're a startup, you may not be making money, but you have to be tracking with your metrics and KPIs. And if you're not doing that, the people that are funding the furnace aren't going to keep funding the furnace. So if you're on the short end of what that deal is, you're out. If you're not the people that they want in that new acquisition, you're out. It's nothing personal. It's business, and it's part of business. It's part of being in the work world. I hear so often from my clients, oh, I want a job I can sit tight for the next 15 years. No, and no, you don't. If you sit tight for 15 years in a company, a few things are going on. Number one, they're growing at the same pace as you. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It could be workoutable. It could. But more than likely, as a human being, you're going to outpace what you want in growth versus the company. If that company is totally growing on a very, very fast trajectory, you may continue to have leaps and bounds and opportunities, but those opportunities are not that often. You're going to get into a great company culture and perhaps you're going to have a horrible boss. Or you're going to get into a great company culture, have a great boss, and then your boss up levels or leaves and now you got a new boss. Oh God, it's holy hell. These are the things that happen. So if you go into any job thinking you're going to sit and coast for the next 15 years, do yourself a favor and get rid of that expectation, because stress is all about your expectations being different than what your experience is. And I'm not going to use the word reality, because what your experience is your reality. It might not be everyone's reality, but your experience is what reality is. And so if you go in thinking you're going to coast for 15 years, or just not even coast, but do good work and have a great life and la, 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 la for 15 years, and you're just going to retire there, and that's what I want. Hey, Mo, at the age of 50, I just want to have one more chapter for 15 years. Not in this economy, not in this part of human evolution. You need to be on the move for your own personal growth, your professional growth, making more money, and being in interesting places. And if you're not growing, your soul is going to be miserable. If you're not expanding your contribution, the scope and the perspective that you have, you're not going to be satisfied. You have to keep growing. Scope, perspective, contribution, and your compensation then will increase. That's what a career looks like. When you start your career, you're at a smaller level of compensation and a smaller level of contribution. Every rung, you're contributing at a greater level and you have greater scope, more money. Greater level, greater scope, more money. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. That's how it works. So if you're doing that, if you're on a trajectory, stuff's going to happen and you're going to lose your job. If you get so frustrated in what that environment looks like, or perhaps a toxic boss, or an environment where you're not getting anywhere, you're being shut down, you're being excluded from meetings, and you're starting to get pissed off, you're taking it personally, you're likely to be your own liability. I just talked to a woman on a clarity call. She walked out. She couldn't take it. She gave them 30 days notice because she's still a nice person. I'm walking out, but I'm giving you 30 days notice. I said to her, if you're really walking out, you walk out. Well, I couldn't just leave them high and dry. Freaking love this shit. So when you have a job loss, there are a few ways to go about this. Number one, pink slip, nice letter. Here's when your benefits stop. Here's when your pay stops. Here's how you're going to get your PTO and whatever bank of days paid out. Here's how it goes. Now, depending on the position that you're in, you could negotiate that. It depends on where you are in the pecking order. If you're like director level, maybe. If you're VP level, most likely you can negotiate something. And if you're above that level, you likely are negotiating your exit. And so those things are not personal, but you got to make the most of it. So if you have the ability to push back and get a little bit more on your way out, push back and do that. You don't get something if you don't ask for it. You're just going to get the vanilla package. Our coaches and myself and our coaching team, we have helped clients get 2 and 3 times the severance packages that were offered to them. Now, sometimes you're getting a severance package because you're not really seeing eye to eye with the CEO or the executives that you report into. And they're like, let's get her out of here. So let's pay her off. We've seen that a lot. I've seen it happen in a very racist environment where new white executives come in and there's a few black people they want out. And I hate to say that and be so raw, but that's true. And I've helped women push against being ousted and sort of being passive about it. Don't be passive. Be curious. Ask for what you want. Ask for more. The only thing that could possibly happen is that they say no. Recently, one of our clients got into a personality tussle, and eventually she was given a performance improvement review that was basically like, if you don't fix this by next week, you're out. Well, none of the items could be fixed in a week. So it was really irrational. It was personal, and she was not willing to take that. And they said, well, you can take this demotion instead. No bueno. So she hired the right attorney to help her, and she brought us into being her coach. We actually were her coach, and we helped her negotiate something that was better than what they were offering, way better. Because if you're a leader in a company and you don't know HR rules and regulations and some of the things that are going to get you in hot water, don't do dumb stuff. And you don't want to pay anyone more money than you have to on the way out. So naturally, you're going to have some type of policy if your company is big enough, or if you're here for 12 years, you get 1 week of pay for every year you were here. So since we're letting go your position and 50 others, you're going to get 12 weeks. So number 1, don't take it personally. Number 2, push back and ask for more if you can, if that's the environment and the level that you're at. And number 3, for God's sake, take some time to regroup and recoup and do the inner work necessary. If you have lost your job through any of the myriad of ways that you could lose your job, mass layoffs, just a minor little reduction in force, a couple of departments, through an acquisition, maybe they're taking a product line off the shelves out of there, you're out. Perhaps they're doing some random firing just to decrease headcount overall, and they've asked every boss, get rid of 5% of your headcount. Maybe you've gotten fired or terminated because your new boss or old boss or whatever boss exchange really doesn't like you. Whatever the case may be, there's job trauma in there. And you're going to have some reluctance to play not only at that level again, or even if you should have been up leveling and you didn't, you're going to want to up level. You won't be able to if you don't do the inner work. So you can't take it too personally, but you have to do reflection and you have to do an inventory internal and say, what of this did I participate in? What of this did I not have the skills or the proper strategies in order to navigate this? Where could I have done better? And that comes from a place of neutrality, objectivity, curiosity, and a bona fide interest in being a better version of you. The one thing I know about how our universe is put together and our magnificent creator has put all of this unfolding and wonderfulness together is that you're going to get kicked in the butt, punched in the face. You're going to get tripped. You're going to get pushed over. And if you think that that is a personal attack on you, you will interpret it as a victim or as a martyr. I can't believe this actually always happens to me. How come I'm always the one? Or how about, I can't believe I can't keep a job, or I just didn't see it coming, or I was just wronged there. That may be true with some lens, but what's really true is that that job is no longer fitting you, either because they decide it or because you decided it. Either way, if something doesn't fit, you have to resize and get a better fit. How do you get a better fit of a job? By being a better version of you, by up-leveling who you are in here, and then having better skills and strategies to navigate the workplace in a way that you may have missed. in that last role. Maybe you really don't have good skills at managing your boss. Maybe you only do well with bosses who are friendly and open and are great communicators, but you have no clue how to work with a boss who's an introvert. There are so many things that can go wrong for you in a job, and you might perceive yourself as a victim or as a martyr, but I'm here to say to you, having lost my job 6 times, I did recount them. There were opportunities that I could have done better in some instances. There was one role that I stayed way too long. Why? Because I was scared and nervous. I would never find another job at that level or better. Insecure. I was insecure. I was totally kicking butt, but inside I was insecure. There is always something that you can learn. You're going to get riffed, demoted, deleted, laid off, fired. You're going to quit. Whatever that's a part of the workplace. There's no poly-perfect happening. It's a playing field of a contact sport. That's what work is. And you can have a lot of fun on that playing field and that contact sport if you're good at it, if you practice, if you up-level who you are here, and if you up-level your skills and strategies and the way that you think about things, and you start playing chess. 3-dimensional chess is what we call it. There's probably 4 and 5 and 6 dimensions to the chess game. Truthfully, the higher up you go, the more complex you have to be thinking. And a lot of people interpret that as, I don't want to be political. I don't want to have to work that hard. I don't want this. I don't want that. So you shy away from the most cool, awesome opportunities because your fear is saying hard, painful. I don't want to be kicked out again. I don't want to be at risk. You're at risk if you work at McDonald's at the drive-through window. You're at risk as the CEO and every rung in between. You're at risk. You're at risk if you have your own company. I've heard so many women saying, I don't want to work for anyone else. I want to have my own company. Good luck. The complexity level of having your own company is about 1 million times more complex than any role you could ever have at any company. I don't care if you're CEO. If you're CEO of an existing company, you have people, you have resources, you have processes and things that are probably tried and true. You know where to lean into stuff. When you have your own business, you're starting from scratch. Everything is at ground zero. Nothing's already made. You don't have a team of lawyers and finance and marketing people to help you. And if you do, you're paying out the nose for all those experts as you're trying to build your thing. Take it from someone who knows. Building your own business can be tens, if not hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. It's more complex. So if you think, oh, I just lost my job, I'm going to do my own thing. That means you went from walking a 5K to wanting to do a triathlon with no training. Understand me say, if you got big dreams, you better have a big pocketbook to finance your dreams. Getting another job at another level, being in an environment that they have structure and stuff is a lot smoother of a ride. And take it from someone who's 10 years in my own thing. I yearn for those days where I was a top executive and had resources and meetings and stuff that was known and people to go to ask questions and colleagues and that sort of thing. Your best bounce back move is to build yourself up on the inside. Don't take it personally, but do the inventory of what you need to do to be better. And 3, go after a higher level job because now you have more experience. Don't settle for less. That'll hurt like hell. This is Coach Mo. If you are ready to up level at the soul level, plus at the career level, we got something for you. Our Soul Powered Career Coaching Program is a proven methodology for professional women to go inside to up level so then you can up level on the outside. Take your bumps and bruises and challenges and obstacles as opportunities for growth. This is Career Coach Mo, mofall.com/talk, where we can help assess what's going on with you and see if we can help. We'll see you on the other side, mofall.com/talk. Everything that women face in the corporate world, in life actually, can be counterattacked, counteropposed by a woman's powerful internal sense of being. And I call that your soul power. I want to help more women understand their soul power, and I want to create a soul-powered revolution. This is Coach Mo, mofall.com.